Hey everybody, Oz here with Oz Wild Guides, and in today's episode of our beginner series, we're going to be discussing talents and abilities in the game. To start things off, we're going to need to view our spellbook, and to do so, you're going to press P on your keyboard as in Paul, or you can click this icon down here. Uh, the spellbook has now been divided up into three sections. The first section is the General tab, and this just lists kind of things that are specific to your character in regards to like your armor skills. When you're at the character creation screen, there's different races in the game, and those races each come with their own unique abilities, which can be seen under this tab. One of the things that you can also do here is revive your battle pets. This is a Pokemon style mechanic that's inside the game that allows you to catch different pets and you can battle other people in the game. And there's also NPCs that you can battle. It's pretty neat. I haven't done too much of it myself, so I'm not really an expert in that field, but it is something that you can explore and look more into if you're interested. Uh, One of the other things that is here as well is the mobile guild bank. This allows you to access your guild's bank, which is a mechanic that we will discuss a little bit more in the guilds video that'll be coming out shortly, as well as our banking video that will be coming out shortly as well. So keep an eye out for those videos. They'll be coming out in the next week or two. The next tab is the class section. As you see here, I'm playing Warlock. Warlocks, they're a ranged cloth wearing DPS spec. And as you can see here, there's a lot of abilities that are shared amongst all three specializations under the class Warlock spellbook. One of the things you will notice is that the Covenant ability, which is a new Shadowlands mechanic, which we'll discuss more in our Shadowlands mechanics and systems video, that'll be coming a little bit later, but just know that that is coming as well. This is actually listed under the class portion. It is not under the general tab. One last thing is the affliction or our spec specific abilities. As you can see here, there's different types of abilities. There's some that will say passive, and passives are abilities that you don't actually have to interact with. They just happen in the background. There's no button that you can press. As you can see here, nothing will happen. Uh, and then there's activated abilities, which you can press, and as you can see, there's my targeting reticle for that ability. Um, and so then that brings us to the last thing for the spell book, which is some classes have the ability to have pets. These pets are not the same as the battle pet style Pokemon pets that I was speaking of before, but certain classes, such as Warlocks, have the ability to access different class uniques pets that you can use. As you can see here, there's four of them for the Warlock. There's Imps, Voidwalkers, Fell Hunters, and Succubus. And each of those have different abilities that come along with it, which can be viewed here where I'm circling is the Pet tab. And when you open that up, you can actually see different things that your pet can do, as well as different commands that you can issue to your pet as well. The next portion is the talents section. You can press N as in Nicholas on your keyboard, and this is how you can swap your spec that you're playing on, as well as set your talents. So this may look a little daunting at first with all the different options that are available. So one of the things I wanted to direct you to is the class guide section on Wowhead, which you can see here. If you go to your class up here at the top and then select your specialization, down here there's a talent build section. And in the talent builds, they will have different types of gameplay, and they will give you their recommended specialization that you should be playing for that type of content. This is a great tool to use. This is one of those things that abilities like this with talents, a lot of them are situational, and in certain situations, one thing might be better than another. I know in hierarchies, a lot of people do not like for you to use Mortal Coil due to the fling mechanic that it causes. It can allow them to run into other enemies and pull more. It could become quite messy, and if you're doing larger pulls, most groups will want you to run Dark Fury. So just know that like in the Mythic Plus section, or in all of these different sections, you can actually find ways to improve and tailor it more towards your style of play. Another alternative to Wowhead is Icy Veins. They have a very similar setup. I'm not as big of a fan of this one, but just know it's out there. They can kind of show you the different ones that they recommend, but they don't go too much into detail on what they specifically like. In my opinion, I just am not as big of a fan of these as I am the Wowhead version. I find that some of these aren't updated as often, and it can seem a little outdated at times, but just know that this is out there and that it is a great tool that you can use as well. If we hop back to the game, you can see here, in order to swap these abilities, you can see in red text, it says talents can only be changed while in a rested area. What that means is a city or an inn. So different places, inns are places that you can set your Hearthstone, which we'll talk a little bit more about later on. But they are places that you can rest your character, and they are also places that nobody can attack you in. There's deemed safe areas in the game. That allows you to swap out these talents to whatever you would like. You get to pick between one in each row for each of the given levels. So as you level up your character, when you hit level 15 or 25 or 30, each of those levels will unlock this row of abilities, and you can pick one of those. Off to the right here, these are the PvP talents. It's something that I am not too familiar with, specifically on this class. I haven't dabbled too much in PvP on Warlock, but it is different from what it was in BFA. So there used to be 4 of these, and in the top one, if you were stunned by your enemy, you had a form of stun break that you could use to get out of it. Now you have to use that as a trinket spot, which are these right here on your character. These are special like on-use abilities that you can get in order to do certain things in the game. They have all these different unique effects. Trinkets are pretty cool. But now you have to use a trinket spot in order to break out of stuns inside of PvP, where they used to just give that to you. Um, these abilities can be used in the open world, but in order to do so, you have to have this war mode on, which, as you can see, can only be turned on in Orgrimmar if you're Horde, or it can be turned on in Stormwind City if you're Alliance. If you have these on, you can actually benefit from more experience, as well as different quest rewards, as you can see by the description that is displayed on the screen right now as well. That 10% can actually be greater as well, depending upon the disparity of Horde and Alliance characters on your server. Whichever one it does not favor, so let's say your server is heavily Horde, such as mine, then you will actually get more than 10%, all the way up to 30% increased rewards for playing the other faction. It's a great tool that Blizzard implemented during Battle for Azeroth that helps to incentivize players to play on the other faction to help the faction imbalance that has begun to develop over time. So if you have these on, this is a great way to level your character, because you're usually not going to have to worry about too much what players refer to as ganking, which is when high level players come and kill low level players while you're leveling. You won't see that too much. It's usually worth to have this on if you're leveling a character, just to help speed things up, as well as give you access to these free ability slots over here as well. So that is a great tool to have in your back pocket for when you start to level your first character, or if you are leveling a second character and you just weren't aware of that. So that brings us to the end of our video today. I hope you enjoyed everything that I had to show you, and I hope you learned something new. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to our channel if possible, and we'll catch you in the next one, everybody. Have a good one.